They say Virgo is quiet, modest, precise, but that's only what the world sees. Behind the stillness is a cosmic force, the sacred architect of order, the healer hidden in plain sight, the keeper of ancient blueprints for a world that remembers how to be whole. Virgo doesn't shine to be seen. They shine to restore. And if you watch closely, if you stay until the end, you'll uncover the secret they carry in silence, the reason why Virgo isn't just another sign. They are the soul's forgotten compass. Long before the world praised power and noise, there was another kind of strength, a quieter one that did not command armies or demand the spotlight, but moved through gardens, through sacred texts, through hands that healed and eyes that noticed. This was the strength of the sacred servant, and Virgo has carried that archetype since time began. To call Virgo a servant is to misunderstand the word. This is not servitude. This is devotion, the kind that bends down not to lower itself, but to lift others. The kind that shows up day after day, not for recognition, but because the soul remembers a promise it made, to mend what is broken, to clean what has been neglected, to restore what the world has forgotten how to love. Virgo stands apart because they live at the altar of the small and the essential. They are not interested in grandeur unless it serves function. They are not here to build empires of ego, but temples of integrity. Where other signs may chase vision, Virgo embodies it, one gesture at a time, one correction at a time, one act of care so minute it would go unnoticed by most. And yet it is these unnoticed actions that hold the world together. In ancient myth, Virgo is often linked to Astrea, the celestial virgin, who walked the earth during the Golden Age, the last of the gods to leave when the world descended into chaos. She left only when humanity forgot justice and truth, and even then she did not flee. She ascended waiting until the world was ready for her return. That is Virgo's sacred heartbreak. They remember how things should be, even when the world does not, and still they serve. Virgo's service is not flashy. It is sacred maintenance. It is showing up when others sleep in. It is noticing what no one else sees. It is asking, how can this be made whole again? And then quietly answering with action, with intention, with excellence. But make no mistake, Virgo's devotion is not weakness. It is precision weaponized by love. It is the soul's discipline turned toward healing. And it takes more strength to repair a broken thing than to destroy it. Virgo does not seek chaos. Virgo restores order, not to control, but to harmonize. Because when the parts are aligned, when everything is in its place, the divine can flow. And that is Virgo's true power, to become the vessel through which grace can move. Virgo teaches us that greatness does not always roar. Sometimes it folds the laundry. Sometimes it proofreads the final draft. Sometimes it simply listens with presence, so pure it becomes a mirror. That is why Virgo stands out, because while others chase glory, Virgo serves truth, and in that service, they become holy. To understand Virgo, you must first understand Mercury, not as a messenger racing through the heavens, but as a sacred processor of meaning. Mercury rules both Gemini and Virgo, but in Virgo, the god of communication sheds his wings and picks up the scalpel. Here, Mercury is not the trickster or the traveler. He is the scribe, the analyst, the surgeon of thought, every word measured, every idea purified, every truth distilled until only essence remains. Virgo doesn't speak to be heard. Virgo speaks to clarify. This is Mercury refined, not louder but sharper, not more but better. Virgo's mind is not a gallery of curiosities. It is a library of discernment. Their intelligence isn't just clever, it's functional. It's built to fix, to elevate, to streamline. Virgo doesn't waste time on grand theories they can't apply. They want what works, what heals, what holds. And because of this, Virgo sees things others miss. The crack in the foundation, the misplaced decimal, the one word in 1,000 that doesn't ring true. It's not criticism, it's correction, sacred correction, a divine attunement to patterns, systems, and rhythms that are invisible to most. And this isn't just mental, it's spiritual. Virgo's gift is not simply noticing what's wrong, it's remembering how it's meant to be. They carry an inner template of wholeness, not perfection in the superficial sense, but in the original sense of the word completion. Virgo is always reaching for the intact, the integrated, the true. And in doing so, they help others become more whole too, not through force, but through example. Even their silence speaks volumes. Virgo watches, absorbs, processes. While others react, Virgo refines. There's alchemy in their pause, in the way they turn chaos into order, confusion into clarity, raw material into something that serves, not for applause, but for alignment. Virgo's Mercury is the architect's eye, the healer's touch, the writer's edit that changes everything. It's not loud, but it's life-changing. You may never even notice what they've done, only that suddenly things work better, feel smoother, flow cleaner. That's Virgo's brilliance. It transforms reality without demanding credit. Think of Leonardo da Vinci, whose Virgo placements translated heavenly proportions into earthly form. Think of Mary Shelley, who gave us Frankenstein, a tale of life, death, and ethical responsibility born from precision and vision. Think of anyone who fixes systems instead of complaining about them. Anyone who listens more than they speak, and when they do speak, changes everything. This is the soul of Virgo, not to impress, but to improve. Not to dominate, but to elevate. Their Mercury does not dazzle, it devotes. That is why Virgo stands out, because they remind us that true genius isn't always the loudest voice in the room. Sometimes it's the one that quietly rearranges the universe until it starts to make sense. The magic of Virgo is often hidden in plain sight. They aren't the ones making speeches from mountaintops or conjuring storms with dramatic flair. No, Virgo's power moves through the quiet touch, the perfectly timed word, the invisible ritual of everyday sacredness. Virgo is the alchemist of the material world, turning the ordinary into something holy. They are the ones who turn routine into reverence. They understand that the soul does not only awaken in temples and dreams, but in kitchens, notebooks, spreadsheets, and soil. Virgo's sacred space is not apart from life. It is life carefully tended, a system refined, a body honored, a room cleared of dust so that spirit may enter. Others may overlook what's too small to matter. Virgo sees that everything matters. They see how the smallest hinge opens the heaviest door, how a single overlooked detail can collapse a vision or redeem it. This is not obsession, it is devotion. Virgo understands that the divine hides inside the microcosm, waiting for the right hands to reveal it. And their hands are ready. Earth is their element, and through it, Virgo builds, organizes, corrects, nourishes. They do not simply think or feel, they implement. Virgo brings heaven down into form, translating spiritual ideals into systems that work. They don't just dream of healing, they create the regimen, gather the herbs, clean the wound, and stay through the recovery. That is why Virgo excels in roles of craftsmanship, health editing, mentoring. Not because they crave control, but because they seek integrity, because their spirit cannot tolerate what is misaligned. Their purpose is to bring things into coherence, a dish balanced, a sentence sharpened, a body restored to rhythm. They are not here to create chaos. They are here to restore order with soul. Even their criticism, so often misunderstood, is a gift. Virgo critiques not to belittle, but to elevate. They see the potential so clearly, it hurts them when it's wasted. Their corrections, when offered with love, are acts of faith, a belief that something more whole is always possible. And that wholeness begins within. Virgo doesn't just fix things around them, they hold themselves to the same sacred standard, often too much. Their inner critic can be merciless because they know how beautiful life could be, and they feel every moment that falls short. But even in this, there is something holy. because Virgo's quest for improvement is not rooted in ego, it's rooted in remembrance, a soul memory of how things once were, or how they one day could be. This is their quiet rebellion to keep choosing care in a world that glorifies chaos, to keep perfecting systems, rituals, selves not for recognition, but because they know every act of refinement is an act of reverence. That is why Virgo stands out, because where others see the mess of the world, Virgo sees a blueprint, and with steady hands and sacred eyes, they begin to put it all back together again. There is a cost to being the one who notices everything, to sensing the threads others ignore, to holding the weight of what needs fixing, even when no one else sees it breaking. Virgo carries this cost silently. They rarely speak of it, but behind their steadiness, their clarity, their sacred corrections, there is often a quiet ache, a burden that comes from being the unseen healer in a world that demands their work but rarely understands their soul. This is Virgo's shadow, not dark in a malicious sense, but heavy, lonely, and often invisible. Because when your identity is tied to making things better, you begin to feel that your worth is conditional, that unless you are helping, improving, perfecting, you have no place. And so Virgo serves, even when exhausted, even when no one asks, even when their own needs are screaming to be seen. They may smile as they give, as they correct, as they clean up, as they hold space for the brokenness around them. But often they are holding their own brokenness too, not because they are weak, but because they feel responsible for keeping it all together. Virgo does not ask for help easily. They are more comfortable being the one others lean on than ever admitting that they too need support. And when they can't fix it, when something is truly beyond their control, that's when the shadow deepens. Virgo can spiral into self-blame, overanalysis, internalized shame. If only I had tried harder. If only I had done more. They forget that some things are not theirs to heal, that some things must be felt, not fixed. Perfectionism becomes the trap, not because they want to be flawless, but because they fear what happens when they're not. Underneath their sharp minds and steady hands is often a tender heart, terrified of being judged, rejected, or dismissed if they falter. And so the inner critic grows. It whispers at night. It rewrites every mistake into a moral failing. It tells Virgo they must always be better or they are not enough. But here's the sacred truth. Virgo does not need to be perfect to be worthy. They do not need to hold the world on their shoulders to matter. Their healing power is not only in what they do, but in who they are, in their presence, their integrity, their intention. When Virgo learns to turn their healing inward to offer themselves the same grace they give others, a transformation begins. Their shadow becomes their wisdom. Their sensitivity becomes empathy. Their precision becomes poetry. And their pain becomes medicine. This is the sacred journey of the Virgo's soul, to realize they are not here to fix everything, but to witness, to guide, to honor what is even in its imperfection. They are not just editors of the world. They are caretakers of the human condition, not because they are immune to it, but because they feel it more than most. That is why Virgo stands out, because behind their quiet strength is a silent courage to carry what others drop and still choose love, refinement, and service again and again. To know Virgo is to meet the sacred feminine in her most distilled form, not passive, not ornamental, but sovereign, intelligent, and whole. Virgo is the archetype of the Virgin, but not in the way the world has distorted the word. The Virgin is not untouched. She is unto herself, complete, unclaimed by another, inwardly aligned, spiritually autonomous. This is the Virgo paradox. They are of service, yet never owned. They offer themselves to the world, yet belong only to their soul. Where others seek power and dominance, Virgo finds it in discipline. Where others seek validation, Virgo seeks virtue. Not for the sake of moral purity, but because they remember what it feels like to be in right relationship with life, body, earth, and self. Their energy is devotional, yes, but not submissive. It is priestess energy, herbalist energy, scribe and healer, and midwife energy. Virgo holds the ancient codes of what it means to restore the sacred in the self, in the soil, in society. And they do so not with fire or fame, but with refinement. Quiet rituals, exacting standards, words and hands that move like prayer. They are the spine of the temple, the clean breath in the chaos, the moment when the noise falls away and only truth remains. This embodiment of the divine feminine doesn't shout, it listens, it does not demand, it adjusts, it does not chase. It becomes so rooted in self-honor, so clear in purpose, that everything around it is called to rise. Virgo teaches that wholeness is not found in external praise, but in internal alignment. That beauty is not spectacle, but precision. That love is not performance, but presence. They are the ones who can find the divine in a well-made list, a hand-picked herb, a soft correction. Because they know the details are where spirit hides, not in grand gestures, but in care. And they carry this care even when the world mocks it. In a culture that worships speed, spectacle, and noise, Virgo remains a keeper of the old ways, the clean ways, the wise ways, not out of nostalgia, but necessity. Because someone must remember how to tend the body, speak the truth, purify the space, protect the seed before it is planted. Think of the Vestal Virgins of Rome, priestesses who kept the sacred flame burning for generations. Think of Hildegard of Bingen, mystic and herbalist, who turned music, medicine, and the natural world into one symphonic offering. Think of every woman, every soul, who has chosen the path of quiet integrity over loud approval. Virgo does not need a crown to be royalty. Their sovereignty comes from within. And when they fully embody that, when they stop trying to be useful to be loved, and instead serve because they are love, they become unstoppable. A force of clarity, of healing, of sacred balance in a world gasping for structure and soul. That is why Virgo stands out, because they remind us what it means to belong to ourselves first, and in doing so, they make everything around them more whole. In a world unraveling at the seams, Virgo holds the thread quietly, steadily, without asking for recognition. They are not here for glory. They are here for repair. Virgo is the soul's restorer, the sacred rebuilder who walks into the aftermath and begins again, not with noise, but with order. Where others see ruins, Virgo sees blueprints. Where others despair, Virgo begins to sort, to cleanse, to correct, not from coldness but from care. This is the sign that doesn't give up on what's broken. They gather fragments with reverence. They ask what can still be healed, and they answer not with theory but with action. Virgo's path is not built in bursts of lightning, but through sacred repetition, refinement, revision, recalibration. They understand what most have forgotten, that real change is process, that beauty is built, not proclaimed, that healing is a rhythm, and Virgo keeps the rhythm when others fall out of step. They are the integrators, the editors of energy, the ones who take inspiration and shape it into systems that hold. They bring reform, not through force, but through functionality. Their genius lies in precision. Their offering is trust. You trust Virgo to see what's misaligned and make it right. To not just notice the detail, but understand its place in the whole. When Virgo is aligned, they stop trying to prove their worth and begin to live from it. They correct not to control, but to restore balance. They serve not from obligation, but from soul purpose. And in doing so, they become preservers of the sacred, of quality, of truth, of meaning. Even in silence, Virgo rebuilds the world, one word at a time, one room at a time, one breath at a time. That is why Virgo stands out, because when everything breaks, Virgo knows exactly how to begin again.